Hi, Owls. It's Rachelle, and I have a really special book to share with you today. And this book, I'm going to tell you a little bit about it, is about two girls who had a big idea. So that means that they thought of something in their brain that they were really wishing for, and they did a whole bunch of really hard work. And guess what? It happened. So, you want to know what it was? They lived in an apartment, and their apartment didn't have a playground. And they had the idea that there should be a playground at their apartment. And so they planned, and they had to talk to a bunch of grown-ups, and they worked really hard to make the land prepared for a playground. And guess what? They built one. So this book, here's the cover, is called Kamala and Maya's Big Idea. And do you guys know something that is special about this book? Is that it's a true story. So I'm going to teach you a really big word. This book is a non-fiction book. That means it's true. It really happened. It's nonfiction. Now, sometimes you might read a book that's fiction, and those books are pretend stories. But this is a real story about Kamala and Maya's big idea. Okay, let's listen and see what their playground looked like. Okay, they were looking out the window and they said, "You know what should be out there?" Kamala asked her sister Maya. "Us," said Maya. "A slide," said Kamala. "And a swing and a playground," they shouted together. Kamala and Maya had an idea. It was a very good idea and a very big idea. They were going to need some help. Wonder who they're going to ask. "Wouldn't it be great if there was a playground outside?" Maya said. "That does sound nice," Mommy agreed. "How could we make it happen?" said Kamala. "Well, I suppose the first step would be to ask the landlord. He's the person who owns this building." So Kamala wrote a letter and Maya drew a picture, and they went to see the landlord to discuss their idea. The landlord thought about it for less than a second and he said, I don't think so. And that was not the answer that they wanted. But they weren't ready to give up yet. They still had their big idea. That night, the sisters tried to think of ways to turn his no into a yes. They asked the other kids in the building if they wanted a playground in their courtyard. Did they? Of course they did. And they had ideas too. "Let's have a teeter-totter and a basketball hoop, and we can add some flowers," they said. So Kamala wrote a longer letter and they went to see the landlord together. So here's what the letter said. "Dear landlord, right now the courtyard of our building is empty and nobody uses it. If there were swings, kids could fly high, and if there was a sandbox, kids could build. If there was a slide, kids could go so far, so fast. Can we build it, please?" What do you think he's going to say? The landlord thought about it for less than 5 seconds. And he said, "A project like that is really expensive, and we don't have any money for that." Do your parents know that you're here? That wasn't the answer that they wanted, but Kamala was not ready to give up. If we ask our parents and do it all ourselves, can we fix up the courtyard and build a playground? The landlord thought about it this time really, really hard. And finally, he said, "Sure, if you can do it all yourselves." So he said yes. He said yes, they could build a playground if they could do all the work themselves. That sounds like a lot of hard work. This wasn't exactly the answer they wanted, but it was a start. The kids spoke to their parents about their ideas for the playground, and they hung up posters and knocked on the neighbors' doors. But they got the same answers from everyone. "I'm sorry. Wow, that is a big job. I wish that I could help." Oh, which they knew meant no, no, no. Nobody was ready to help with their big idea. But did they give up? Not yet. They just kept on trying. But then Mr. Green stopped to talk. "I am a construction worker, and I could maybe get some scrap lumber and some sand for a sandbox." Do you know that word, lumber? That's another word for pieces of wood. So he's going to help build a sandbox. And Kamala and Maya were so excited. Finally, somebody said yes, they could help. It wasn't a yes, but right now, maybe was the sweetest word they have ever heard. So he said maybe, but it was a yes to them. But guess what? The next weekend, the maybe turned to a yes. The kids all helped measure, and Mr. Green cut the boards. Then they added sand, hammered, and sanded some more, and then came the actual sand. They were making a sandbox. They were all thanking Mr. Green when Mr. Lopez stopped by to talk. "I work at a garage, and maybe they have an extra tire for a teeter-totter." Another maybe. That's their favorite word, remember? In the weeks that followed, lots of "I don't knows" turned into maybes and yeses. So look at what they've added to their playground. They have a sandbox now, and a teeter-totter, and some flowers. They are working so hard. No one could ever do everything, but everyone could do something. So that means that not one person could do all of the work, but everyone could work together and do a little bit of the work. Kamala and Maya wanted everyone to celebrate the new playground. So they made another big poster inviting their neighbors to a potluck party. A potluck party is a party where everyone brings some food to celebrate together. There was so much food. Look at that table, is so full. There was hot dogs and hummus, spicy chicken and potato salad, strawberries and brownies and lemonade. And Mrs. Flores set up a sprinkler that the kids could run through. And Mr. Green brought the music. Kamala admired the new playground, but she noticed there was still one thing missing. I wonder what it is. No one knew how to make a slide. Oh, and Kamala really wanted a slide. But Mrs. Flores knew where they might buy a slide. I teach at Emerson Elementary, and they are redoing the playground at school. Maybe we could buy their old slide. This was a different kind of maybe. A how can we afford a slide maybe? But now everyone was trying to find a way to turn that maybe into a yes. So, do you see these friends sitting in the playground in the sandbox? These brownies are delicious. Maybe we could have a bake sale. We can all bring toys and books and have a sidewalk sale. Sounds like they might be having a garage sale and a bake sale to try to raise the money so they can buy a slide. Nobody could do everything, but everyone could contribute something. Remember, they're working together to accomplish their big idea of having a playground. When the slide arrived at last, Maya and Kamala got the first ride. The landlord was so impressed. I want to shake your hand, girls, he said. You did a good job. You all did a good job. Kamala and Maya had an idea. It was a very good idea and a very big idea. And with a lot of help, they made it happen. Hooray for Kamala and Maya! Hooray for the persisters. That's somebody who keeps trying. If you're persistent, that means you keep trying. What's next, Kamala? Kamala, looking up, said, I wonder what the view is like from the roof. Sounds like she's having another big idea. The end. And it's a little bit hard to see, but I'll show you that here's some real pictures of the real Kamala and Maya that are in this book. And can you see, this is her. And she's all grown up now. And do you want to know who Kamala Harris is? She is the Vice President of the United States. And she is the first lady who was ever elected to the vice president, to be the vice president. So that is pretty exciting. So you can just remember that all your big ideas take a lot of hard work, but you can keep trying. And if you're persistent, maybe you can do it. I wonder if you were going to build a playground, what would you have on it? Maybe that could be something you could try to draw. If you had a dream playground, what kind of things would be on it? Think about it. Think about your big idea. I'll talk to you soon.